This will gradually permeate into the general population. As you can see, AIDS as a public health problem has been featured as not a national problem, an international problem, a problem of worldwide concern, has been featured in Times Magazine. It is now considered to be the most important new public health disease in North America. Because of the progressive and relentless epidemic, there is every fear that the disease, with all its frightening implications, might gradually spread to the general population. The consequences and dangers of promiscuous sexual relationships and deviant sexual practices have been expressed in this hadith some 1400 years ago. The lewdness will not exist among people until they appear as a common practice, and plagues and new disease which did not exist before will spread among them. The word lewdness encompasses adultery, fornication, I'm told, homosexuality, bestiality, and all other sexual perversions. And it is not wide stretched of any imagination that we should not consider herpes and AIDS as clear examples of new diseases, and indeed at the present time, new diseases for which we have no cure. Thank you very much.
The Quran on Scientific Facts and Discovery. Dr. Gerald C. Goeringer. Dr. Gerald C. Goeringer is Course Director and Associate Professor of Medical Embryology at the Department of Cell Biology, School of Medicine, Georgetown University, Washington, D.C., USA. Former winner of 1989 the Golden Apple Award. Gerald C. Goeringer's PhD is in anatomy and cell biology. The final speaker from amongst these world-renowned scientists will now tell us, as all the others have, that the scientific knowledge that was only available to mankind in the last century or so is in complete harmony with the Quran.
Mr. Chairman, eminent scholars, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted and honored to have this opportunity to be here before you and share some of these magnificent experiences with you. In this paper this morning, we attempt to briefly outline some of the milestones in the history of embryology by way of setting the stage for the analyses of most of the other speakers who will follow. Regarding many of the points we emphasize, you will recognize pertinent passages in the Holy Quran. Let us commence with a fundamental question of biological science, a question that has commanded the attention of scholars and scientists from the earliest recorded history through today. It is a question that is also documented in the Holy Quran. Simply put, it is, how does man develop? This question rings through the centuries, and the record of our attempts to answer it comprise much of the history of science in general. Therefore, the history of embryology is linked inescapably to the history of science in general, inasmuch as embryology deals with the genesis of all higher life forms. It is also closely related to the historical development of philosophical thought. Indeed, the scientist of not too many years ago referred to himself, and was referred to by others, as a natural philosopher. In broad terms, we can divide the history of embryology into three phases. The first phase, which we can call descriptive embryology, traces back more than 6 centuries before the Christian era and extends forward into the 19th century AD. This was the time during which observations of developmental phenomena were recorded and interpreted in various ways. Some of the earliest records survive from the 4th, 5th, and 6th dynasties in ancient Egypt. The official title, Opener of the King's Placenta, is on record as being held by at least 10 successive individuals. Later, a standard representing the royal placenta, may we have the first slide, please, was carried ahead of the pharaohs. The properties attributed to the placenta were of magical or mystical significance. In fact, until the time of the ancient Greeks and after, science and magic were closely joined. It was the Greeks who elevated science into the realm of reason. This by virtue of the fact that observations were less often interpreted in terms of the mystical, but rather in the light of reason. In point of fact, were it not for a number of Arab writers, many of the earlier Greek works would have been lost to us. During the 16th, but especially in the 17th and 18th centuries, scientific enquiry flourished, and the works of Vesalius, Fabricius, and Harvey set the stage for the era of microscopy. This was a period of lively debate. The spermatozoan had been discovered, and the questions of preformation, spontaneous generation, the egg, ovism, and animalculism were endlessly discussed and debated. Now, this is rather short shrift for 3 exciting centuries, so let us just briefly look at some of the things that were seen as they were seen during this time. First, some illustrations from the literature of midwifery during the 16th century. Next slide, please. Showing how from a coagulum of blood, in the upper left, and seed, a fetus develops, which can be traced down through to the lower right, where in the imagination of the author of this work, from this blood clot, a human fetus actually arose. Menstrual blood was commonly thought to give rise to the embryo during this time. Before discussing the rise of experimental embryology, let's turn for a brief moment to the instrument that capped the progress of descriptive embryology and which is used just as frequently today, albeit in somewhat more sophisticated form, the microscope. Next slide, please. This 17th century development led to the publication by Ham and van Leeuwenhoek of the announcement of the discovery of spermatozoa. Next slide, please. Published in the Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society. This is 1677. Illustrations of human spermatozoa, published in 1701, next slide please, are seen here, grouped among illustrations of sheep sperm. What marvelous times these were, what controversies and arguments raged over observations made and or imagined. Look at this illustration of human semen. Next slide, please. This is the homunculus, which we have seen many times during this Congress. But look at this photograph from my own laboratory just a few years ago. Next slide, please. Although this is part of an experiment unlikely to have been considered during the 17th or 18th centuries, it is not too difficult to imagine how different structures could be imagined to exist in spermatozoa. with all this remarkable progress, much of what we have discussed has already been described, and with infinitely more elegance, in the Holy Quran. Recent analysis of passages from the Quran reveals a description of human developmental stages from the earliest through and beyond organogenesis. No such distinctive and complete record of human development existed before the Quran. It was many centuries afterwards that the human developmental stages were recorded in traditional scientific literature. With the benefit of historical perspective and the accumulated wisdom of those who have gone before, we are in a position today not only to appreciate the remarkable contributions to science of these giants of the past, but just as importantly, we can better appreciate how much we still do not know about development. The advances of modern developmental biology raise as many questions as they solve, and the physicians and scientists of today are perhaps more than ever before in need of the wisdom and counsel of scholars and religious leaders. It is not surprising then that we relook to our holy scriptures for help and enlightenment. From what stuff hath he created him? From a sperm drop. He hath created him and then moldeth him in due proportions. Surah 80, Ayah 18 and 19. Thank you very much.
Quran and Science. And those to whom knowledge has come, see that the revelation sent down to you from your Lord, that is the truth, and that it guides to the path of the exalted in might, worthy of all praise. The Noble Quran, chapter 34, verse 6. The Quran calls people to worship only one God, the creator of everything. Say, He is Allah, the one and only. Allah, the Eternal, Absolute, He begets not, nor is He begotten, and there is none like unto Him. The Quran is a book of guidance and not a book of science. It is just a proof that it was revealed from the one Creator who knows everything about us. We will soon show them our signs in the universe and in their own souls, until it will become quite clear to them that it is the truth. Is it not sufficient as regards your Lord that He is a witness over all things? The Noble Quran, chapter 41, verses 53. The Quran mentioned many scientific facts, like the origin of the universe and how it came into existence. This included facts related to how it began and facts related to how it will end. Like the theory of the Big Bang, for example, and that everything came into existence after it, and our Earth was one of these structures that were formed from this Big Bang. Such kinds of theories were way beyond our reach 1400 years ago, and it is only now that science has begun to unravel some of the facts surrounding the creation of the universe. However, the Quran mentioned that our earth was part of the skies and then became separated from it. Allah says in the Quran, "Have not those who disbelieve known that the heavens and the earth were joined together as one united piece? Then we parted them. And we have made from water every living thing. Will they not then believe?" The Noble Quran, chapter 21, verse 30. And the Quran mentioned that our space is expanding. That's because after the Big Bang, every planet and star is moving away from each other. Allah says in the Quran, "With power did we construct the heaven. Verily, we are able to extend the vastness of space thereof." The Noble Quran, chapter 51, verses 47. And the Quran mentioned that all the planets are running in an orbit and the sun is running to its resting place. That resting place is the translation of the Arabic word mustaqar, which indicates an exact appointed place and fixed time. According to modern astronomy, the solar system is indeed moving in space at a rate of 12 miles per second towards a point situated in the constellation of Hercules Alpha Lyrae, whose exact location has been precisely calculated. Astronomers have named that mustaqar the solar apex. Allah says in the Quran, "And the sun runs on its fixed course for a term appointed." That is the decree of the Almighty, the All-Knowing. The Noble Quran, chapter 36, verses 38. And that our universe will end by rolling together like sheets or records. Allah says in the Quran, "And remember the day when we shall roll up the heavens like a scroll rolled up for books. As we began the first creation, we shall repeat it. It is a promise binding upon us. Truly, we shall do it." The Noble Quran, chapter 21, verses 104. And the last scientific fact we want to present to you is regarding the fingertips of the human being. The Quran mentioned that every human has a unique fingerprint, and it is used as a very important method of identification around the world. But what is even more amazing is this feature of the fingerprint was only discovered in the late 19th century. Before then, people regarded the fingerprints as ordinary codes without any specific importance or meaning. However, in the Quran, God points to the fingertips, which did not attract anyone's attention at that time, and He drew our attention to this important matter, which has now only been understood in our age. Allah says in the Quran, "Does man, a disbeliever, think that we shall not assemble his bones? Yes, we are able to put together in perfect order the tips of his fingers." The Noble Quran, chapter 75, verses 3 and 4. There are still many scientific facts in the Quran for any knowledgeable individual or scientist to explore, like it says in the Quran, "And those to whom knowledge has come, see that the revelation sent down to thee from thy Lord, that is the truth, and that it guides to the path of the exalted in might, worthy of all praise." The Noble Quran, chapter 34, verses 6.